Well, yes, Adani Group of stocks is in focus and interesting buying activities coming in the day's trade. And of course, yesterday there was two important developments. The first one being Supreme Court decision was there on the Heidenberg case as well, whether a panel was set up and they'll be actually giving out a report in the next 2 months as well. Strong commentary came from the management also. And importantly, there were important deals were there, and almost 15,500 crore worth of shares were sold in the open market by the promoters. Now, who are the buyers? That is something which we will be discussing today in this session, and this will be the GQG Partners. They were the buyers of it, and of course, this is an investment firm. It's based out of US, but it's listed in the Australian markets, and they are having investments across developed markets as well as your emerging markets. Now, the surprising part is they are holding almost $92 billion in terms of assets under management. But the question comes is, which are the domiciles which they are actually investing in? And of course, the first name pops up is the American markets with almost 49% exposure coming in. The second biggest market, that happens to be India with 11.6% exposure as per the Bloomberg data. Now, we spoke about their exposure to the countries, but now let's look at which are the top holdings, especially the global portfolio. If we see big names such as ExxonMobil, Schwab International, Walmart and Coca-Cola come up to the list, while in the domestic investment, especially in the Indian subcontinent, the exposure is there in ITC, Tata Steel, Power Grid, Bharti Airtel, to name a few. So we spoke about the exposure, we spoke about the key holdings in different geographies, but now let's move on to the most important part of our discussion, and that is Rajiv Jain, and he is the head of the CIO, or you could say the chairman and the major promoter for GQG Partners. Now, going ahead, let's look back and see what the history has stated about him and what the street cred is all about. And of course, he doesn't have a Twitter account and he rarely makes media appearances. Apart from this, also, he is the former chief investment officer at Vontobel Asset Management, and that's a very interesting take, because in the 90s he migrated to US and then he did his MBA over there, and in the year 2002 itself he became the CIO of Vontobel Asset Management, a stellar career in fund management. And the street says about him that he actually buys in bulk the shares, at least of particular securities and stocks, and he has the ability to bail out an entire position. So that's an important street cred for Rajiv Jain. Apart from this, the main focus comes is he started this company GQG in the year 2016 itself, but the most startling part is the number of the IPO which they had raised when they had listed in the year 2019. Now, mind you, the IPO was there in the Australian markets, of almost $893 million were raised, and this was the largest ever IPO of that year in the Australian markets. Now, apart from this, also Jain had actually placed 95% of the entire proceedings which are raised in the IPO, which he'll be spending for the next 7 years. So we spoke about Rajiv Jain, we spoke about GQG Partners, and also the important thing is, let's talk about the fund performances, how it has been. And of course, the year we have taken is the year 2022, and over here the firm has lured in $8 billion of fresh investment. 3 out of their 4 funds have actually outperformed the benchmark indices as well. And in the year 2022, in the earlier part, they had actually increased their exposure in the Russian markets as well. So you can see a multi-asset, multi-global firm has actually taken interest in Adani Group when their stocks have rotated, and almost more than $100 billion have actually fallen in from the high seen in the month of January. That's a very interesting development. But let's also scrutinize one more thing, and that is GQG's biggest fund, how they have performed, and that's their flagship fund we are talking about. In our analysis, we have taken the returns from December 2016 on an annualized basis, and their flagship fund, Goldman Sachs GQ Partners Opportunities Fund, has given a rate of 10.8% per annum. While if you talk about the benchmark indices, we compare it with them, the average of international funds have been almost 7%, while the MSCI World Indexes without the US markets has come in at almost 4%. So a very stellar big name is coming as an FI into the investment in Adani Group, and it will be a very interesting take that will this month of March change the fortunes of Adani Group and in a larger basis the Indian stock markets.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.